Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to tonight's Freedom Thinking via donation community group. The date is the 2nd of June. What the hell? Where's all that gone? Oh no, Mary has to go now. Bless you, love. Catch us up on catch up, love. Catch us up on catch up. Loads of love and drive safe. Yeah, 2nd of June. What the hell? How mad's that? Nearly halfway through the year. All right. So my name's Dave Ellery. Jen, I can still hear Lucia up. Jenny's putting Lucia to sleep. It sounds terrible, but in a good way. And hopefully she's coming down in the not too distant future. So we'll have a guest speaker, my wife, Jenny, and the other half of Freedom Thinking. She seems to be the guest speaker. She couldn't make it last week. But yeah, this is a via donation event. If you can make a donation, please do. If you're watching this in catch up, the links to making donations are in the description below. You can do it via PayPal, info@freedomthinking.co.uk as our PayPal thingamajig, or you can do the buy me a coffee thing, or you can contact us directly at info@freedomthinking.co.uk for our we'll send you our bank details if you want to do it that way. Some people prefer to do it that way, which is absolutely fine. The best way for us is PayPal friends and family. If you can, then we don't get any charges. Mary's coming back. She must have pulled over. Yeah, buy me a coffee takes money off us, but I put it up there because some people like to do it via buy me a coffee. Yeah, what else are we talking? What else are we thinking? We are looking to do an in-person retreat. So if anybody is interested in an in-person retreat, please contact us at info@freedomthinking.co.uk or keep an eye out on our website, freedomthinking.co.uk. That's www.freedomthinking.co.uk. We haven't organised it as yet, but we've been, so many people have been asking us, so we're going to get on it. We're just going to do it. Yeah, so we're heading back up to the Lake District tomorrow. So we'll be looking for venues. We have been asking, but nobody's got back to us. I think that's about it. Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube in catch up, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I think that's it. Cool. Cool. Right. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? If you're new to this, by the way, say Mary, who's just had to come on and said she had to leave very, very quickly. She said, I can only be here for a few minutes. And she literally left just as we were starting, bless her. So Mary, each week we generally, I'm guessing you'll be watching this in catch up. Each week we generally just open this up for a conversation and we try to make this relevant to the people who are here. And likewise, if you are watching this on catch up and you do have a question that you'd like to, or something you want to talk about in this community group, please put it in the comment. Please put a question in the comment and we'll do our best to address it the following week. Or you can email the question at info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Oh, one other thing. If you would like your names adding to a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group, there's a choice, WhatsApp or Telegram, or both if you can be bothered. I generally do the WhatsApp. Jen does the Telegram. It's the same content. We put these videos straight onto there so people can just watch it straight off WhatsApp, saves going into YouTube or whatnot. We also put the link directly into WhatsApp or Telegram. So it's quick and easy for people. If you would like your telephone number adding to it, this is anybody who's watching on YouTube, please info@freedomthinking.co.uk, us, email us and send us your telephone number and we can add it to the list. We can add it to the WhatsApp or just specify WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever. All right. I think that's it. I'll hand it over to you. Has anybody got anything they want to talk about?
Feeling guilty, Dave.
Talk to me, Ange. What's crack?
Obviously, I've got a grandson now, and he's 20 months old. and Amy went back to school last September. She's a teacher, and I was looking after him on a Tuesday, and his other granny was looking after him on a Wednesday. Well, I've got problems with my shoulder and my neck, arthritis in them, and it was becoming more and more painful looking after him, but I didn't want to not look after him. Because he's my grandson, I absolutely adore him. He's the most beautiful thing ever. But it got to the point where it was also bringing on palpitations as well.
The pain.
And I mean, I've had doctor's appointments and hospital and osteopath and everything, and it was just getting so painful. And I really was beginning not to, like, what's the word? Not to. Well, I felt as though I had to do this, and I really wanted to do it, but I was in so much pain. Anyway, it's all boiled down to the fact that Amy's now got, well, he's in nursery 3 days and Granny's got him 2 days, and I only see him on a weekend when I see Amy. And I'm just feeling so guilty about it, that I've stopped even looking after him the one day. But since I have been stopped doing that, it's been an awful lot better. But the guilt of not, like, looking after him, it's really affecting me. And it's, I don't know, I know that's just me and how I'm feeling about the full situation, but I can't stop feeling awful, and Amy's fine with it, but I'm not, because he's my grandson and I want to be with him. But what do I do? Do I do the pain and keep with the pain and the palpitations, or, you know what I mean? It's just, if I can get rid of the guilty feeling, then I might be able to get through it better.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. As I'm listening to you, I don't know. I'm assuming, I don't know the answer to your question, but I'm assuming that there are days when it's not as bad as others.
Yeah.
And because that's generally how it goes with pains and illness and stuff like that. You have your good days and you have your bad days, but it does seem to me like you feel like you've almost drawn a line in the sand. Like, oh, that's it, I'm done, can't do it anymore. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you stay present with it, and there may be a day where you're going to go, I feel all right today. Can you pop round? It may be that other days you really can't. But it seems like you feel like you've made a black and white decision, which is fair enough. But I don't feel like there's much fluidity in that decision.
The thing is that I feel as though I'm letting Amy down as well, because it's her job, and she's, well, I mean, she's going part-time, but she's a full-time teacher, and she was relying on me, and because I was in pain, it was even worse, because I didn't want to let her down either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a lot better since I've stopped looking after him. I mean, I do see him on a weekend, but I just can't get over the letting people down thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of ego, is that? That's a big old part of ego, is I've got to be this kind of person. I want to be that kind of person. That's ego. That's ego, love. That's really where the suffering stems from. You have a circumstance which is nasty, and that circumstance that is nasty is not one that you would choose over your grandchild, and I think everybody knows that. And but they're giving yourself a hard time over it. It sounds like you're having a hard enough time as it is. and then to use that to kind of beat yourself up. Let's have a little
Mm.
bit of a conversation about that. Let's see. I haven't got, I don't really know if there's anything coming to me just this present moment, but I'm going to just see what comes. So if there's one thing that I know about guilt, it's the least valuable fucking thing we can do to ourselves or the world. Guilt, when I speak to people with guilt, I mean, often very, very differing circumstances, but I like to ask them the question, what good do you think it brings to the world? What good does it bring to your life? What good does it bring to your relationships? And when people reflect upon that guilt, what good does it bring? What good does, if so, I suffered a lot. It's funny because my ex-wife, Rach, God bless her, she went and saw this clairvoyant once. She was phenomenal, this clairvoyant. She said, "Oh, you just got married. You got married in the UK, but abroad. How did you manage that?" She said, "Oh, got married on a Scottish island." She said, "Oh, right, that would make sense. You married a man named Dave.
Yeah.
He works with a man called Ollie. He's a tree surgeon." Like, Rach did not have a clue about this woman. And one of the things she said is, Dave is really going to struggle with guilt in his life. And Rach told me this. She told me all of this in advance. And she was right. This lady was absolutely plumb with everything. Apart from, she said, I'd either get into golf or fishing. And I got into metal detecting, which is kind of like swinging a golf club. And it's almost like fishing because you never know if you're going to catch something. So it's kind of bang in the middle of it. I'm that cool. But no, she was right. I really struggled with guilt. And because I did some stuff I wasn't proud of. I wasn't like you, Ange, where you ended up with a physical disability. I did stuff I really wasn't proud of, like stuff no boyfriend, husband should do. But happens in life. But it happens in life. But I was the man who didn't do that. I was that man that didn't do any of that stuff. And if I know anything about life, I've learned to drop my judgment of what I will or will not do. We're just having a conversation, Joseph, just before we started, all of us, about him protecting a girl and having to use his physical force to protect these girls, and I've often thought, I don't think I'd be that man anymore, but I haven't got a clue if I'd be that man if somebody was attacking Lucia, or if I caught somebody in the same circumstance as Joseph. And I've learned that whenever I've had a judgment of people, a strong judgment, life has brought me that experience. I'm going, all right, dickhead, you think you know something? Here you go. Have a go yourself. Walk a few miles in their shoes. And it's been the most deeply humbling experience. My life's just been a series of humblings. I'm really, really grateful for them. All the hard times that bring me my humblings. And grief and guilt, sorry, was something that in the end started to consume me. Now, very different circumstances. But there was a part of me that really felt like I should be guilty. I should be. I let my wife down. I let those people down. I let these people down. I let myself down. I let the world down. God, I was so dramatic. But there's this part of me that really felt like I should be guilty. And I remember one day Rach said to me, Rach is an angel. She's an absolute angel. She always has been. She's one of the most beautiful human beings on the planet. But I remember her saying to me, will you just stop it now? She said, you're doing my head in. I can't forgive myself. I can't forgive myself. And she's like, seriously, you're doing my head in. Honestly, you're doing my head in. Stop it now. I think it'd been 9 months or something. Like, I can't let myself off the hook. And my guilt was almost trying to prove that I was so sorry that I'd let her down. But it wasn't bringing anything of benefit to my life. It wasn't bringing anything of benefit to Rachel's life. It wasn't bringing anything of benefit to my family's life. It didn't bring of anything of benefit into this world. All it did was just bring more misery. It just brought more misery into this world. When I look back at the things that I felt guilty for, in those moments, I couldn't have done anything different. I couldn't have done better. I couldn't have done different. And people carry these ideas like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Totally impossible. You couldn't have done. You couldn't have done. No matter what it is. Oh, if I just said this to that person, or if I'd just done that, if I'd just done this, I carried this regret around with me that I should have just said something. I should have done. You couldn't. You couldn't have done anything different. It could never have been anything different. The past could never have been anything other than what it was. It is totally 100% impossible. And I hope that when people hear this, I hope they hear it at the level that they can drop all their shit and just hear the truth. That the past could not be, it doesn't matter who you are on the planet, your past could not be anything different other than what it was. It couldn't be any different to what it was. It is 100% impossible for our pasts to be anything different. Because if you look at guilt, it's based in time, it's based in something that doesn't exist, it's based in the past. It's based in the past. Guilt is based in something we've said or done. Okay, the past doesn't exist. Now, the reason why it couldn't be anything other than what it was and why it is 100% impossible for anything in our past, and I include that click that just took place, couldn't be any different, is because we are confined by the moment. Now, confined's probably the worst word I could have chosen, but it kind of represents the fact that we only live in the moment. And the moment is all we've ever had. Our past is the moment. It was creation. It was creation that's taken form and taken shape. That's what the past is. Okay, but it's always created in the now. Now, we cannot escape the now. It's impossible. It's impossible to leave the now. There is nothing but the now. There's nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go. But in our minds, we have the capacity to create the idea of a future and a past, which in the moment we do that, we create the illusion of time. Neither the future nor the past exist. So when it comes down to it, people live in the moment and people act in the moment on thought. Thought in the moment. It's the only means by which we have to generate an experience, to make decisions, to steer our lives in whichever direction, take whichever path, create whatever timeline. We do it via thought, in the moment, in the now. Now, reality is created that way. It's created from the power of thought in the now. because our life and reality are the same thing. They're two words to describe the same thing. My life and reality is two words to describe, two ways of describing the same thing. And the way that reality is born is that it is born via thought in the moment. It's an experience. All reality is an experience. It doesn't even matter if the experience is that of a photon or an electron. It's still conscious awareness. That of a plant, that of an insect, that of water. Anything, rocks. Consciousness is the nature of the now. It's what everything is made of: awareness, energy, pure frigging intelligence. So our realities are created from the power of thought in the now. Right here, right now, it's happening. It's taking place. It's taking form as this dream of reality. And your dream's different to my dream. Always has been and always will be. Same for everybody else on the planet. We all see our own unique versions of reality. Why? Because it's not happening to us, it's happening through us. We're generating it. We are the reality we see. As Theodore Nottingham once said, he said, the reality that we see is the magical display of our own consciousness. Absolutely true. Beautifully put. The reality we see is the magical display of our own consciousness. And it's in the now. It's created in the now. So all those misdemeanors, all those things that I did, all those monumental F-ups and whatnot that I've managed to achieve over my life, they were all thought in the now. They're all created from thought in the now. And in those moments, I didn't know any different. In those moments, I didn't know any better. No other thought had presented itself as a reality for me in that moment. I literally experienced what I experienced and I acted out of it. Because it always looks real. It all looks real. And when I cottoned on to the trick of life, it was like, oh, all that stuff that I felt carried guilt about and I should have been different. I could have done different. I realized I couldn't have done different. I acted on thought in the moment. Now, a man once came and did some work with us, and remember we interviewed him. I mentioned this a few weeks ago, I seem to remember, or I mentioned it to somebody. And this man forgave a man who abused him, his stepfather who abused him. He was 50 something years old at this stage. And we were interviewing him and he said, yeah, I've found forgiveness for the man who abused me as a child, my mum's boyfriend. He said that man acted on a thought. He said, but he didn't know that. He could start to see the innocence in this man. The same innocence that's in all of us when we live our lives. As we start to live our lives throughout our lives as human beings, the human being is a reality generator. It generates a dream state reality that it thinks is real and true and fixed. But in actual fact, it's actually a fluid state rather than a particle state. It appears as particle, but it's actually a fluid state. It's more akin to liquid than rock. It can change very, very instantaneously in the now. It's created in the now. And this illusion, this capacity to generate these experiences of reality, it's so convincingly real. I am somebody who has woken up to life at whatever depth I've woken up to. I haven't got a clue. I say this regularly. I don't know. I don't know how deep I've seen into life. I've had a couple of really frigging mind-bending experiences, and my depression cleared up in a moment, and I've never gone back to it, and I live a very beautiful life from that moment onwards with a deep connection to love. Heart opening. My heart opened, for want of a better word. I wrote to somebody this morning about heart opening, because really that's what this conversation is about. It's about listening for the opportunity for our hearts to open, because the only thing that is creating our suffering is our closed hearts. Not that the heart can ever be closed, it's an illusion. But it is the same place that guilt comes from, that illusion. There comes a point where we have to, every now and again, we have to make decisions that serve us over other people, especially in your kind of situation, Ange, where you are more used to him in a reasonable state than a terrible state. And it seems to me like if you can stay fluid on the subject, rather than seeing this as a black and white, I've done it now, I've made the decision, I can't look after him anymore. Rather than being black and white about it, what if you approach it rather from the particle point of view, from the wave point of view? Stay fluid. Keep your mind open. See how you feel each day. Ring her up. Can I be of use to you today? I'm not having such a bad day today. Because it seems like your stress to me is being born because you feel like you've made a permanent decision. Would that be accurate?
Yes, because when I do have him, he always comes over, like when I'm running and when I go in, he always runs over to me, Nana, Nana, and I pick him up, and it's that original picking up that pulls on my shoulder and my neck. But I can't stop doing that because I love him and I want to hold him.
Well, could you not? Can you bend down?
Yes, but it takes a while to get back up again.
Yeah, but is that a more is that easier than having a crick neck?
Well, my knees are probably easier than what my neck is. But to be fair, recently somebody had said to me, why don't you just go and sit on the settee and get him to climb on you?
Yeah.
And then pick him up that way and try that.
Oh, so just have him on your knee and give him a cuddle.
Yeah, yeah.
But
to be fair now, yeah, he's getting to a stage now where he's all over the place anyway, and he doesn't want to be picked up as much. I don't know. It's just I was so looking forward to being part of his life in this way that because of me injuries or whatever, I just can't do it the way I want to and hold him and hug him. And, you know, I want to be the granny who was rolling around on the floor with him. And, you know.
See, this is what happens. This is where the suffering's actually created. The suffering isn't created from what you can't do. The suffering is created from the expectation you place upon yourself and your body. You see, it's not the circumstance as such that's creating the suffering. It's your thought about it. It's how you've set yourself up. I've got to be this kind of way. I am this kind of granny. I am that kind of person. You can show this kid love in an infinite amount of ways. He will grow up knowing he's loved by you, Ange. He will grow up knowing fine well he is loved by you. But it seems to me like you've got to use this power of thought to come up with new ideas of how can I have this life that I want to live with my grandson and still be able to function as a physical body, as a physical being as well. And so
Yeah.
it sounds like you've had some, I mean, that idea of sitting down on the sofa and just let him come and sit on your knee and give him a cuddle.
Mm.
You know, he'll understand, he'll be fine with that. But it seems to me like the thing you're actually suffering is your expectations that you've created.
Yeah. I've heard that now. I've just heard that I'm the one who was making these sort of expectations, rules on myself, that this is how I should be. And there's no like written word about that, is there? You know,
No, just
so
the
yeah.
ones we dream up and then we judge ourselves according to. That's the only source of suffering.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you.
Suffering comes from inside of us. Doesn't come from circumstance. Doesn't come, and that's a really big statement, given what's going on in the world. It doesn't change anything though.
Mm.
Our lives, our realities are only born one way, and it's from the inside.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. I've just realised that now when you were talking. I've got more expectations of myself. I've put these rules in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just have a think about, how can I make this easier for me?
Mhm.
First things first, don't pick him up. Not like that.
Mm.
There may, Ange, come a time when you can pick him up. I don't know. But right now isn't that time. It's time to listen to the body.
I think that's what I was doing as well, because I was listening to what my body was telling me. Because that's why I came to that decision, because I was in so much pain with it, that I knew that was the main reason why I was getting it. And because I was saying to myself, you know, you need to be this granny who is gonna just want to be with all the time. And I thought, oh God, what do I do? But yeah, it's right. I've put these rules on myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and in doing so, you've limited yourself anyway to other possibilities, that, you know, other awesome ways that you can connect and interact.
Mm.
Because you've kind of gone, oh, it's like this, so this is the way it is. No, don't do that.
He's a little freedom thinker as well, because he loves being out in nature
Good
and the
lad.
birds and the trees, and he absolutely loves it when he's outside. We went to his Marty's dad's. He lives in Newca. Do you know Swaledale?
Yeah,
Yeah, he lives out there. We were there last weekend, and he just loves being outside. Went
good
down
lad.
the river. Yeah, loves it. So yeah, but I was sitting on the floor with him on Saturday, looking out the windows and calling for the birds coming down and that, and he just loves it. Yeah. Thank
Cool.
you, Dave.
You're welcome, Ange. Thank you for bringing the question. No, thank you, love. Glad you missed all that, Dan. It was all about you.
I thought as much.
Yeah. Something about your mum and a pain in the neck or something.
Yeah. So it's a common occurrence, that conversation in our family. Same as me with my anxiety, my grandma with a leg, and
Cool, man. Boston Applied Biologics. How you doing? What's this? I like it.
It's my work Zoom. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I thought it was a Zoom bomber.
No.
You're not going to get undressed, are you, Wendy?
What is it, Monday? No.
Yeah, it's Monday. Oh,
I
yeah.
wait till Wednesdays. Yeah.
Oh, I can never make Wednesdays.
Oh well.
I'll watch the catch up.
There you go.
Oh, thanks, you too. All right. Anybody else? Does anybody have anything they want to share with Ange, or anybody want to take it in another direction? This is an open platform.
Fill me in, man. What were you saying? I'll see if I can pull anything from it. Unmute.
I was feeling guilty about not looking after Oliver. Like I used to on a Tuesday down to my shoulder and my neck and stuff. That's about it. So Dave was talking me through guilt.
Oh. Guilt's just an experience, isn't it? Is that what the everyone's conclusion was? Maybe.
Yeah, I'll do. Yeah, it's nothing to be worried about, but it's not something we necessarily have to carry. And I think the more we can see our own innocence, and the more how we kind of, what we talked about was how when we create a black and white idea of who and what we think we should be, we suffer that. Because when we don't show up inevitably like how our ego thinks we should, we think there's something wrong with us and we could have done better. And quite often guilt's born from that space. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Guilt is nothing to be afraid of. There's no wrong feelings. There's no such thing as a wrong feeling. Louise, are you making pom-poms as well? I've got two kind of balls of wool going. You're both either side of me doing balls of wool.
I made this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm making another one.
I like it. All right, anybody else?
I mean, I haven't got anything, but usually what I'll chat about something and then it'll come to up. Do you know what? Actually, it'll probably fit in with the guilt thing a bit, I think. So obviously Alex started his new job, which has led into me having a lot of time on my hands to myself because I wouldn't say I'm always on my own, but I'm usually on my own. And I've noticed that I'm having to sort of work extra hard with my I'm having to work extra hard on the focusing on the can't be botheredness of life. I don't know if like last week, when I was saying last week about that, it's like the art of not being bothered about stuff. Well, it was kind of like it's been difficult the past couple of weeks because I've been thinking to myself like I've got a lot of time on my hands and like a lot of my friends work in like nightlife and stuff, so I don't really have a lot of go-tos. But and then probably like I think it was like this time last week maybe. And I said to Alex, I was like, oh, like I do feel quite like lonely now that you're not here. But then I thought to myself, I was like, how like I felt a bit guilty saying that because my my reality is different to his. Like he doesn't seem like that he's doing anything wrong. And then that made me think about my reality as well, because there's nothing wrong with the way that I feel. It's more of just the fact of I think it's getting used to that new experience. And the only person it's that it goes back to the I am. I think it's like I am lonely, but I'm not really like because I've got like everyone to talk to who I would usually speak to. It's just unfortunate that I can't see them like in person, I guess. But that's it. That's it, really. That's all I've really had the past like week, maybe. I think just about like guilt, really.
Has he handcuffed you yet?
No, he's not allowed.
I just wanted to watch your mum's face.
No,
He's
No.
not allowed.
no. Apparently there's been. Well, actually, I don't know. Don't know if I can tell that story. I'll mute it.
It's an
I'll
open
mute it.
platform, mate. You're safe.
I'll mute it down. So, cut a long story short, there was someone that was in training a couple of years ago that how can I put it? That was practicing using handcuffs on their mother.
What?
Yeah, so just for context, my partner's a policeman. Just because I know Wendy's looking at a little shocked.
Thank God. Okay.
It's a policeman.
And anyway, this person has handcuffed his mother just to like show her how to like how you can handcuff from the front and the back and like that way and everything. And he left the keys at his training facility, so they had to get the fire brigade out to come and help her out of these police duty handcuffs. And I think so. Apparently, ever since then, it has been a nationwide thing that you are not allowed to,
Handcuff your mother.
yeah, or show anyone how to use them. Like I've seen like the nightsticks that they use. I've seen them. It's quite scary actually. I don't think like I always thought that would like to be a policeman, but I don't know. I think
No.
I'm too I think I've got too much compassion for it.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we were at school, my mate Ross, he nicked his uncle's handcuffs and he brought them to school. He got them out on the bus, he was flashing them about, and we handcuffed this lad called Eddie to the rail on the bus. And we left him there. And then I was a proper dickhead. And Ross was more compassionate. Like he was like, right, time to let him out. And I went, no, and smacked his hand and snapped the key in the lock. So now we've got this kid stuck on the bus, stuck handcuffed to the bus. I had to go and tell the bus driver. The bus driver, I can't remember, he got pliers or something and had to prise him up. I can't remember. Loneliness, that's a cool topic, dude. You know, we treat loneliness like it's a thing. Loneliness is a feeling created from thought. It's the same, but different. You know, it is really nice. You know, we're human beings, and most human beings like interaction with other human beings, but not everyone. Some people are perfectly happy on their own. I know farmers go up to some of the farmers in top of the valleys in the Lake District. You will meet people who like being on their own, and they will make it perfectly obvious. You know, and then, but loneliness is, that was one of the things I noticed in one of my relationships. Like, I was with this person, the most beautiful person, and I felt lonely. I felt lonely in my relationship. And it was such a horrible time, this feeling of loneliness. But this feeling of loneliness wasn't coming from my relationship. It wasn't coming from my past. It was coming from the way I was surveying life in the now, the way I surveyed my life in the now, and the stories I was carrying about my life and how it should be and how I should feel and this, that, and the other. And as Bill Pettit says, just like Bill Pettit says, shoulding all over myself. You know, and we tend to think of loneliness as a real thing, more of a kind of solid feel, more of a solid experience than other experiences. When it's not, loneliness is created from thought. It's created from a perspective that is being created from thought. I'm on my own. I'm isolated. I'm this, I'm that. Lucia sits in the kitchen in the morning and I'll nip to the toilet or something, and Lucia's in the kitchen most mornings. She's absolutely fine, no problem. 2 mornings ago, it was, I'm on my own. I'm on my own. I'm on my own. I'll be 2 minutes. I'm on my own. I know you're on your own. I'll be 2 minutes. I'm on my own. I'm on my own. Now, she felt lonely, but she doesn't feel lonely every morning. That doesn't happen every single morning. So it was just a temporary experience. And we tend to think that there's something wrong, you know, or that we need to somehow try and fix this problem. Loneliness, I mean, I am deeply aware that there are people on this, you know, older people who are on their own, you know, and they really would love human interaction. And if you know people like that, please go and see them. Please go and see them.
Mhm.
Please do. But it doesn't change the point that the experience too is created from the mind. There is no way we can possibly have an experience outside of ourself. There is no way we can possibly have an experience outside of our own consciousness. Outside of that we're creating, that we're generating in any given moment. I know fine well that you can feel lonely one moment and then a couple of minutes later, you're not even thinking about it and you're absolutely fine again. Because it comes and goes like waves.
Mhm.
And waves aren't fixed, waves aren't solid. Anybody else? When?
What's occurring to me right now is, for whatever reason, this conversation right this minute is no different than any other conversation you've had, Jenny's had, I've had, Bill Pettit's had, blah, blah. And it's, for whatever reason, it's settling into my head as like, there is no experience that a human being can have, good, bad, or indifferent, that doesn't have the same mechanics behind it.
100%.
That's it. So let's just hang up now. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean literally let's hang up now, but, and it's not to say we shouldn't be or we should be or whatever, but it's very interesting to me that if we were having the same conversation about how do kidneys make urine, we'd say, well, the blood goes in the big vessel, it gets filtered through all these different tubes inside the kidney, and it retains the good stuff, gets rid of the bad stuff, and out the bottom tubes comes yellow liquid called urine that gets put into a bladder, and then it gets, evacuated at some point when the pressure gets big enough. How many times do we have to say that before we understand how kidneys work? And it's not to dissuade us from having this conversation, but all of a sudden it just occurs to me, like when you were just saying, loneliness is not a solid thing. Happiness is not a solid thing.
100%.
If Lucia was like, "Oh, Daddy, I love you. Can you hear me in the toilet, Daddy? I love you." That would have been no different than her going, "I'm all by myself. I'm all by myself." You know, it's just how we work. And that whole notion of inside out versus outside in, nothing can possibly be outside in. Everything 100% is always inside out.
Correct.
And we keep trying to say, well, yeah, but what about loneliness? Now that's a sticky one. Nope. Well, what about fear of flying? Now that's true. Well, what about, whatever? I love Trump. Now that's ridiculous, right? I mean, on and on and on. But you know what I mean?
You're
So I
still on
just
the
want
fence, Wend.
no, there's no fence. There's no fence. There's no fence. No, no, no. It just the fence keeps getting taller and thicker, if anything, because it's like, oh my gosh, how could he possibly say that? But he did. But anyway, or do that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's neither
So
here nor there.
Trump is the fourth principle.
Trump is the fourth. That's right. Trump's the fourth principle, and the fact that I can never get to be below 200 pounds for the rest of my natural life. Those are both facts that will never change. You understand?
Mm,
Yeah.
careful.
I'm never gonna be thin and pretty. That's just, you better get used to it, Dave.
Well, I
That's
tell
just
you
the
what,
way it is.
then judging by what you just said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is not
Evidently.
outside of people, love. Beauty is
That's right.
inside.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Who are
Well,
you,
my
who are you to tell people how to think?
But well,
Whether
my
you're
beholding
beautiful or
says
not.
the number needs to be lower than it is. My beholding.
Oh,
And again, that but I'm convinced that it will never change. So you're right. I've sat in 3P circles with Jack Pransky or whatever. I said these principles are 100% true, no matter what, except for two things: that man's name and the fact that I'm never going to be this thin. Those are the only two things that it doesn't address. So we know I'm being silly, but nonetheless, it just does strike me that there's nothing that we can talk about that's an exception.
nothing.
Nothing. Not one thing.
What a beautiful conversation this is then. You know,
Right?
because when you have this opportunity to discover something that is so fucking true and so real and so relevant and so important, why would you not embrace that conversation?
Mhm.
But it has to be realized. This is the thing.
Yes.
I'm going to read
Right.
something I read this morning. I wrote this morning to a lady I know, if you don't mind. What we are all really seeking is the opening of our hearts. What does this mean? Well, opening is the opposite of closing. So with that in mind, to seek heart opening would suggest that our hearts are closed. So how do hearts close? Well, firstly, the heart is a non-physical center of our being. It's not the physical heart, it's the essence, it's the consciousness of who and what we actually are. This can only have the illusion of closure. This closure is a result of holding on to thoughts and beliefs. Only thought can create the impression of heart closure. Therefore, only realization can open it. Realization is what happens within a being. Realization to release a new potential into this reality. The letting go of concepts, ideas, and identity can never be done from the human, individualized, my mind, ego mind, but from the space from which it all emerged from in the first place. You, the spiritual essence, the eternal self, before the closing limitations of individualizations and concepts. This truly is a spiritual reality. There is no other means by which reality can appear. An open heart sees with love, singularity. A closed heart sees with fear, duality. Duality is the illusion. In that, it was people listen to this conversation and they try and conceptualize it. It's not in the conceptualization where the freedom that we're talking about actually comes from, where we can create the concept of, oh, so Wendy's saying it's 100% coming from inside me, and we can create this thought. Oh, I can picture that. Okay, congratulations, you created a picture within your own mind. You've done that ever since you were born. But when an individual realizes that from the heart, from the center, when they realize it, when they gain insight into it and they see the full, or to whatever depth, the magnitude of that point that Wen's just brought to the table, 100% of experience from birth till death and beyond and before is coming from within ourselves. We are not who and what we think we are. We are the space from which reality is being born. Anything we think we are is an illusion, is a story, is a non-self. Any feeling that we identify with is not us. Any name, any age, any gender that we identify with. I'm not talking this woke movement. I'm literally saying that the spirit itself hasn't got a gender. It's entirely neutral. It'll take form into male or female. It doesn't care. It's all the same thing. And when people realize, like Wendy just described the oneness of life. She just spoke to the oneness of life. When people realize that 100% of experience is coming from within themselves, there's nowhere else to look. Then there's nothing to be afraid of. What are we genuinely afraid of? Speaking to a lady across the road the other day. Nobody on earth. I said, do you know what there is only one thing people fear on this planet. Do you know what that is? And funnily enough, Dan, she said loneliness. She said loneliness.
Wow.
I said, no. I said, no. I said, the only thing anybody has ever been afraid of in the entire history of mankind is their own mind, because that is the only thing they're ever experiencing. They're afraid of thoughts. That's it.
Mhm.
Because you never get to experience anything outside of mind, consciousness, or thought. Because it's those principles are the means by which this reality is born, and this is why everybody on earth sees their own unique expression of reality. What one person's afraid of, I have no qualms with climbing 140 foot up a tree with a chainsaw. It doesn't bother me. But to other people, it would terrify me. Stick me on a pair of ladders, see how comfortable I feel. You know, my dad will go up a pair of ladders. He's coming up 80. Doesn't really give two thoughts. I'm not I'm not very happy at a set of ladders, but I'm happy 140 foot up on a tree with a rope and harness and tied to a bit of string, and I'm all right with that. But we see different worlds. Why? Because the world we see is being created from inside of us all the time, 100% of the time. This is the revelation of life.
Mhm.
This is where you get to discover the most important discovery you could ever make in your entire life. The most important discovery. There is no more important discovery than discovering who and what you actually are before you create an illusion of what you think you are, or what other people are, or what this world is. There is no more important discovery to be made. But it's not an end, it's just a new beginning. You know, it's just an opportunity to wake up and start to realize, well, if I'm not that, then who am I and what am I capable of? What have I limited myself with? If the power of thought is that powerful and impressive, it can create reality. And I'm not talking circumstance. I'm not talking outside of myself. I'm talking about the reality I encounter. The other word I would describe it is my life or your life. What does your life look like? How does it feel? Thatness, the experience. All right, Wend. Cool of. Yeah. The most important conversation that any human being could start to listen to or have. There is no more important conversation. It sorts out mental health problems. It sorts out it sorts relationship problems, whether that's between a couple, a family, a neighborhood, or globally. You know, there is no more important conversation. When you wake up and you realize that you are not the story you've told yourself, and the story you've told yourself is not real, it's not true, it's just a story, it's just something I've made up, or perhaps somebody else made it up for you and you decided to believe them as though their reality is something more real than your reality. No, there's 8 billion people on this planet, apparently, whose reality is the true reality. Whose is it? Whose is the true reality? You know, and just because somebody in authority tells us something doesn't mean it's true. They are a separate reality. And I feel like the more we align with that 100% truth of 100% of experience is coming from within me, and the power of thought is infinite. I can experience anything in an infinite amount of ways. Consciousness does. Go to a football match. 90,000 people in an auditorium, you know, and then 45,000 on one side, 45,000 on another, and they're all seeing a different game. They're all in varying stages of states of either distress or joy. But no two people are having the same experience. Because experience doesn't come from circumstance. When I'm talking about reality, people go, oh, outside. Oh, so you're saying that if I think the plane's going to crash, the plane's going to crash. No, I'm not. I'm saying if you think your plane's going to crash, you're going to shit yourself and you're going to have a horrible flight. Most likely your plane isn't going to crash. But that's the only thing that fear of flying is. But if the plane does crash and the plane does go down, what will your experience be like? Well, it'll be whatever you're generating in the moment. You may be at total peace. You may be screaming. I don't know. There is nothing outside of us that creates our experience of life. We can have things brought to our table, granted, but nothing has the power to determine how we experience it. Only consciousness has that, only the power of thought. Only our mind has the capacity to do so, because that is the source of all experience. Right, we need to stop talking about Jenny now. She gone?
Yes. Upside down. And bed.
Upside down, you're turning me. All right, cool. We've had loneliness, guilt, expectations, kinds of shizzle. Who's next? Dan, are you right with that? Kind of went a bit off tangent there, didn't we?
Say that again.
Went off on a bit of a tangent. It was anything else you want to share?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that's probably been the main thing, really. I think it's not the getting used to being on my own scenario. I think it's just more of the figuring out how to be okay with that experience. But like Wendy said, it's probably using the same mechanics as what we've used for absolutely everything, really.
It
Like
is.
just trying to make sure that everything's, well, not try and make sure everything is okay. It's just the continuous wave of remembering that, I think.
You only need to. I think this is the thing. It's like, I personally, no, this is the way I live. I don't spend my life analyzing my own mind, my own feelings. I just live as a human. Like, I have my frustrations. You know, I can be frustrated one minute and upset another and pissed off about something. And then I can be 10 minutes later exceptionally loving towards somebody. I think one of the things I realized is we don't need to fear any of this stuff. I don't need to fear any experience of my life because it's coming from me. And therefore, there's nothing I need to get rid of. Every single experience that I experience is a version of myself. And there are infinite versions of myself. That's such a beautiful notion, to realize that the only thing we're ever experiencing is ourself. All these different stories and versions of ourselves, and they all exist. And they're all as real as one another. But they're not as real as the truth that lays behind them, the eternal presence of that is that which is generating the experience. And I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know how to summarize that. I don't know how to speak about that. I don't know how to talk about that. So
Just use the word that a lot.
That is, and that pisses people off, but it can't be conceptualized. You can't conceptualize it. Even after you've experienced it, you cannot there is no way in this world you could talk about it. It's a word. We look out at this world, and you look out and you go, how can you have a wordless place? How can you have a wordless thing? How can you have something that you can't formulate a thought into? it makes no sense to our intellect, but when you experience it, you understand what it means. There is this space within our being that exists that is real, and it's more real than any other reality you can encounter, and you can't think it.
It's like my mum said to me the other day. It's been talked about so often. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The cockerel.
It's not true though.
The cockerel.
The
always-
cockerel had to have come from an egg.
The cockerel came first.
But I think that you could spend your life analysing that question and you can't find an answer because it doesn't make sense. And I think when you were just speaking, it's like it's the same with the principles. You can keep trying to figure it out and you'll never figure it out because we cannot get our intellect around something that comes before the intellect, because the intellect is everything afterwards. And I think if we can get a feel for that, then we spend less time thinking about our intellect, thinking about our feelings, thinking about how we're doing. And we go in and out of different experiences and we're grateful for the lessons, we're grateful for the beautiful times. And I don't know, I think we stop trying to figure it out. And I think as long as we think there's a reason to be trying to figure it out, like there is some point we're going to get to where we know something, we'll keep doing it. But when you really start to realize you don't know and we can't know, as an ego, you kind of drop all of that trying. And actually when we drop trying, we often fall into the feeling of what we're trying to point to. But it does feel counterintuitive. But when you were speaking, it reminded my mum, because she was sat there this morning, like, and you could see her face sort of goes like this, like, but you know, which one came first? It just, and I thought that is the face that people start to pull when they're in their head. They're just like, and you can feel it's tense. It's like it's contracted. And then when you just watch someone, like you say, Lucia is so full of joy. She's just laughing at the most ridiculous thing. Like she thinks you're the funniest person in the world still.
Do you mean still?
She's only got a few years left probably of that. But she's just so quick to laugh and so quick to get over things. And she doesn't often have that like look on her face.
She's a bugger.
She gets that from you.
Probably.
We read the other day that an Aries is
A Libran
a Libran is a toned down Aries.
is an Arian on the best behaviour. God help her. I'm a Libran. She's Aries. God help us. All right, anybody else?
Do we all believe in star signs? Like, do you believe in the what's the word? Can you say demographic? It's the star signs have no, that's someone's like, do you believe in the traits of a star sign? Do you think?
I don't know, because you said you've got a friend who's born in the same hospital on the same day and you're like
Polar
polar
opposite,
opposite.
yeah.
And when you read yours the
But-
other day and you're like, oh, it's so accurate. And then I read it, I was like, some of it's accurate, some of it isn't. But I wonder if you read each star sign and you thought that was yours, whether you'd be like, oh yeah, that's accurate, that's me.
Apparently it boils down to like minutes. Like,
The actual, if you had it
Yeah.
done, yeah.
yeah, if you had it done accurately, it would boil down to the minutes, not just Libra and Arian, Aquarius or whatever.
Yeah, a friend did that for
I'm
Lucia.
open-minded about anything. I'm open-minded. I'll open my mind to anything. I know there's not a lot I know. So I'll keep my mind open. But it does seem like there has been, like I mentioned before in when Rach went and saw that clairvoyant, like there are things in this dimension that certain people seem to be able to exhibit traits of that are what would be classed in, maybe it's growing out or perhaps it's growing up. Our sciences that have been very materialist, they've kind of created this idea of woo-woo and nonsense and bullshit and liars or whatever, and they're not liars. They have a capacity to look down, for whatever reason, potentials and draw them into the now, they have that gift. It's like you've been listening to something, the books, telepathy, what they call them?
Telepathy tapes.
The telepathy tapes about autistic kids. And I listened to a channel named Cryon.
It's very worth listening to.
Yeah,
It really is so interesting.
like I listened to a channel by somebody called Cryon, Bruce Lee Carroll, I think it's called, channel somebody called Cryon, and he said in the next few years you're going to realize the magnitude of the autistic children, and the autistic mute children that can't speak. They're reading they're reading the people around them's minds, and they're 100% accurate in the tests. They are 100% accurate with what they're picking up on. And so, I mean,
And also like meeting their parents in their dreams and giving them information where they are verbal, and then they're testing that. Like I've only listened to some of it and I fell asleep because
yeah, I mean, this is phenomenal stuff, you know.
I can't keep awake.
But I heard about it first on a channeled message, you know, and now I'm starting to, a few years later, I'm starting to hear about it and actually listen to some of the things every now and again. And it's like, but the fact that this is taking place on Earth, you know, I keep my mind open about anything, absolutely everything. And I feel like that's the best place for us to be. We're in a time now where we've been led by experts for so many years, and look where it's got us. You know, our lives aren't, there's more suffering on this planet than there really has ever been, because people have stopped listening to themselves. They've stopped listening to their own being. They've started looking outside of them for answers, and the answers don't lie. The answer that I seek does not lie outside of me. I may be able to listen to somebody else or have a conversation, somebody could shed some light on it, but the answer has to come from me. You know, now we're getting to the point where in time where I feel like humanity is starting to stand on its own 2 feet, and its people are starting to stand up for themselves and listen to themselves. And I think that's really, really important. But I don't know why I said that bit, but when it comes to anything like astrology or anything like that, no, I'm totally open. I'm interested. I dowse stone circles. I dowse ley lines. You know, I sit in stone circles and I ask for things and they show up. Like, I've probably mentioned this a while ago, but I thought to myself, I'd love to see a stoat. This was a few months ago. Sat in a stone circle I found outside our house, and I thought to myself, oh, I haven't seen a stoat in years. I'd love to see a stoat. Just sat there minding my own business. Within 30 seconds, a bright white stoat pops out of 2 of the standing stones built into a wall. Ran along the wall, disappeared. That was within 30 seconds. I have no idea, like, the magnitude of who and what we actually are. I've been given glimpses, and I know for a fact we're not limited. I know for a fact that we as a species will start to evolve more in that direction. I'm fairly sure anyway. That we will, in this lifetime, I think most of us will start waking up to different things that we didn't know we were capable of. But I'm open. Yeah. Why not? Everything's a state of awareness. So if everything is a state of awareness, you know, one of the things that the reason quantum physics is about now, and the reason we even have Wi-Fi and screens and this communication, is because of quantum entanglement. And that only came about because of the discovery of the double slit experiment, which kicked off quantum physics, where they fired particles. I think there were photons or electrons. I can't remember now. A receiver board that received them, and then they put 2 slits up, and they realized that when nobody was looking, there was a wave pattern emerged on the receiver board, but when somebody looked, it behaved like a particle. So you got these 2 lines, but when nobody was looking, it ended up being spread out in a wave pattern. And what they realized was that the particles are actually aware they're being observed, so they're conscious. The photon, the very fabric of this physical dimension, is aware. A photon, a singular photon, is aware it's being observed. Electron is aware it's being observed. So the very fabric of the physical dimension is a state of awareness. It's conscious. It's a consciousness. So every single brick in the house is made of consciousness. It's all alive, because that's what alive is. It's consciousness. So every single planet is consciousness. The sun is consciousness. This earth is consciousness. Some people give it the name Gaia. No, I'm going into territory where people are, oh, fuck me, Dave, you just lost me. But keep your mind open. Keep the mind open. Everything. Look into your quantum physics and you'll realize everything is aware. It's a state of awareness. So awareness, consciousness is awareness. Awareness is an experience, and an experience is a reality. Okay, so every single photon experiences reality. That's the fabric of physical dimension. Every atomic structure is aware. So yeah, these things, everything, it's one ocean of awareness. That's what people have discovered throughout time. That's what quantum physics is pointed to. That's what the likes of Jesus pointed to. It's all one. Where is this God's kingdom? God's kingdom is inside of you and outside of you. It's all a singular state. But the only reality that this wave of the infinite ocean that we call Dave gets to experience is that which is born from within inside its wave. It cannot experience anything other than wave, other than water. It's all water, whether it's loneliness, whether it's happiness, whether it's depression, whether it's joy, whether it's falling in love, having your heart broken. It's all water. It's all the same thing showing up in a different way. Because within that wave, there is infinite wave potentials. So yeah, no, when I woke up, it made sense of ghosts. It made sense of other dimensional beings. It made sense of extraterrestrials. It all suddenly made sense. It was all suddenly, oh, everything's real. It's all real. Because they're all potentials within reality, within the infinite mind. But I don't get it. I can't say I understand it. The people who built those standing stones knew something about astrology and astronomy. They built them more often than not on where two earth energy lines or ley lines cross. In some cases, like Castlerig in the Lake District, it's eight ley lines cross. You know, these weren't built on. If you read the blurb at Castlerig, it'll tell you that the stone circle was built here. You can see why they built it here, because it's in the most beautiful vista. You've got this panoramic view. No, that's not why they built the stone circle there. The reason they built the stone circle there wasn't because of the view. If they built stone circles on places because of the view, they would always be on top of hills. But they're not. Sometimes one we go and visit up Troutbeck, it's not exactly the easiest access to it, is it? It's on a banking. It's on a little banking, and well, it's not a little banking, it's a frigging enormous banking. But it's not built there for convenience. It's built there because that is the place which is the most perfect place for the stone circle to be built. But those people knew that. They knew about the earth energy lines. They knew about the way that what we're starting to discover about them, that these earth energy lines can actually be manipulated and changed. They can change frequency apparently. So if you can, they are like a river, and if you were to play like the healing frequency on top of a standing stone, downstream of the standing stone, bearing in mind that there is no stream, it's a quantum thing, it's to and fro at the same time, it will turn into the healing frequency. It will adopt the healing frequency. Now, I've been really feeling the drive to understand that a bit deeper so I can help heal people, because I think there is healing potentials within stone circles and earth energy lines, whereby, this is just my musings, whereby if you can change the frequency of a stone circle energy, and you put people in it who are suffering, that frequency goes into the frequency of into the cell of every single cell. So it's like everything is made of frequency. Every single thought is a frequency. That's why they all feel different. You feel the frequency of your own mind. And Sid described it as levels of consciousness. You feel what frequency of consciousness you're in. Oh, I'm in a fucking shit state of mind right now. You're in a lower frequency of being, or a more higher state of being. But the way that they did, the way that I personally think that they went into these stone circles and did their ceremonies, and I think they did do ceremonies there, but it was to heal themselves. It was for healing, it was for connection, it was for communication. I think in those spaces, the human being interacting with the earth energies, we have the potential to open up possibilities for ourselves that we don't think are possible. So yeah, no, sorry man, I've done it again, but I am totally open. Those people understood that there are times they built those things as like celestial calendars and stuff like that to measure. And I remember one time being up Scotland with this lady, and I've met her, and when we were camping, just got talking to her. It was a birthday. She told me about when she was a kid and how she won this school competition for writing. She wrote this story about her. She was this little boy, and she went out of the mud hut and she followed the men. She wasn't, he would know, he was a little boy. Yeah, she was a little boy. And he followed the men as a little boy and into the dark. And the men, she followed them to a stone circle that they've erected. And she said, I was watching them, I was spying on them in my story. And she said, I wasn't allowed to be there because only the men were supposed to hold the knowledge of the planets and the moon. And she's told me all about this wonderful story she wrote when she was a kid. She said, but what I couldn't tell my teachers was, it's not a story I made up, it's one I lived. Should I actually live that life? And I remember it. And she was a fascinating woman, a really, really beautiful woman. And what she said that they were doing was, in that night, that particular night, they were gaining insight into the nature of the moon. They were understanding the moon. And so they were really, really interested in astrology and astronomy. So yeah, I keep my mind open. Sorry.
It's a long-winded way of saying that.
It was a very long-winded way of saying it. I admit, yeah. But she was really interested. She was lovely.
It's interesting as well. Our friend who's Jewish, like Orthodox Jewish, said that that's how they look for partners for their children when they get, because their parents set up dates for them, but they use astrology to pick the person, but it is by minute of birth and all those kind of things. It is fascinating.
And she says they usually have really good success, didn't she?
So I don't know.
I don't know.
I think there's probably loads of generalizations in what's been. There's just so much, unlike when they used to have them in the newspapers and the backs of magazines and those kind of things. I think there's probably people that are really in touch, and then other people that maybe think they're in touch and are not. And
yeah,
so
yeah, there's a lot of spiritual ego about.
I know our friend did it for Lucia to the so we know the minute she was born and the place and all the information she needed. And then she sent us this thing and we were like, this is creepily accurate
It's
about
unbelievable.
Lucia's character.
Even down to, it said, she will most likely carry objects around and she'll carry them for the day. It said that, didn't it? And she will pick something up in the morning. It could be a frigging Baby Bell cheese, can't it? And she's opened it. She'll still have hold of it 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the
Or
astrology.
she'll go to the park with a strawberry in her hand.
Yeah.
Go to be the whole thing, come home, she's still holding that strawberry.
Yeah. And it's like,
Random thing.
but it was written about in the astrology, her astrology kind of chart character thing. And
I don't know.
I'm totally open. I think it was Rockefeller or JP Morgan, one of the two, said millionaires don't need astrologers, but billionaires do.
Random.
It's random, but it's quite pertinent, isn't it?
No, I don't get it.
Billionaires use astrologers.
Oh, so that's why they're billionaires.
That's why they're
Okay.
billionaires. I don't actually know exactly what he meant by it, but that's what he said. It was it was either Rockefeller or JP Morgan.
So when you said these words had come up, what did you ask?
Well, Andrew was talking about feeling guilty for not being able to pick up her grandson because she has a bad neck.
We're a funny creature.
We're
aren't we?
mad as fuck, aren't we?
Well, things I've realised just recently, like Dave says, you can't believe how patient and kind and gentle I am with Lucia. But the times when I am impatient, it's normally when she's pushed and pushed and pushed and she's being really unreasonable. And then later on, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have been impatient. I should have been kind. She's just a little girl. We're just weird. We forget that we're doing our best. And actually sometimes we have to put ourselves first. And actually when we do then put ourselves first, we're then able to help others more because we've looked after ourselves. I think sometimes we push ourselves beyond our limit to help somebody else, and then we suffer, and then other people suffer because we're out of action. So it is an interesting one.
And life always, like, it's so easy looking back. Guilt's based in the past. It's like, it's so much easier looking back and going, oh, I could have totally done that way now. But yeah, that's with the knowledge you have now.
Different space
You know,
of being as well.
you're in a totally different space of being. You know, you're not in that moment anymore. You're in this moment now. And it's, you know, it's really easy for us to judge ourselves from a different vantage point. But you're not that version of yourself that you were. So it's like, it's learning to see these perspectives and gain these perspectives on things and see the truth and the reality of it. It's like, because that's where you start to give yourself a break, when you realize, no, I couldn't have done anything different. I did exactly what made sense to me in that moment. And that's all I could ever have done. It doesn't mean you can't learn. It's a beautiful thing, is the past, because it gives us the opportunity to go, would I do that again? I hope not. I'll potentially try to do something different next time. You know, if you fall off the wagon, you're trying to quit drinking or something like that, and you fall off the wagon, you realize how easy it is to fall off a wagon. You know, and then you decide you want to quit again. Perhaps you might learn, well, last time, you know, I went to that pub and it didn't serve me. I perhaps won't do that this time. We have the opportunity to learn from the past, but we don't have the opportunity to be anything other than who and what we are in any given moment. We don't have that opportunity. We are as good as whatever power of thought is coming to us in the now. That goes for everybody on earth. it does seem the thing that we're looking for isn't this. It's not, it doesn't come from there. It comes from insight. It comes from realization. It comes from revelation, something that's revealed from within our own being. You know, because that's the thing that reorders the mind. That's the thing that it's that brings us the awareness. It's a level of awareness that cannot be attained with the intellect. It's a level of awareness that is realized into fruition in our own being. You I don't know how you can't do it. It just happens when somebody's ready. And the more we chase it, the more it will disappear, because the thing we're chasing isn't it. It's an idea we're holding in our head. It's a thought. We're going, oh, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this, 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 and this. We go running around trying to change this, trying to change my mind, trying to do, I've got to find my way to that. I've got to, no, it's not that. I promise you, it's not that. I don't care what you're thinking. It isn't that. Drop it. Just relax. Just relax and enjoy life. And sooner or later, this realization will emerge and you'll be like, oh, wow. And it will be simple. It won't be complicated. It will be so frigging simple. You'll be like, how could I have not seen that before? What? That was so obvious. Well, of course it's obvious because you can see it now. But you cannot know what you do not know. It's impossible. You cannot know what you do not know.
It's interesting. I'm talking to a teen at the moment who's 15, who said she was very expansive as a young child and she's got memories of all kinds of things. But she said she's just loving the experience of just being a somebody, just being who, like a character, and playing this role of life and getting lost. And she's very insightful, but she likes the messiness of life. And she doesn't understand people in this pursuit of the expansiveness, because she said, well, that's what you're going to go back to. So it's been really interesting speaking to her, because she doesn't want to talk about the principles in an expansive way. She loves the really practical aspect, like the byproduct of understanding, the noticing that it is our thinking that takes us up, our thinking that takes us down, like that kind of thing. She loves, because it's just so practical. And when I've been speaking to her, I've realised how many people I speak to have this idea of a perfect version of themselves or somewhere to get to. And it feels like with her,
I'll be all right when that happens.
Yeah, with her, she was like, she's experienced the expansiveness and like the connection to everything and the wonder and the beauty of that. But then she really wants to be here and be a human being and like feel stuff and live a life and be an individual and get her heart broken. And it's fascinating hearing her, because there feels like there's this such a wise soul who's then playing the game of being a teenager and what that kind of involves, but still with some perspective. And when she was speaking, I was like, that's what I feel sometimes happens for people. They might not ever have that aha moment or an insight that they can put words to, but they just start playing in life a bit more, laughing a bit more easily, taking things a bit less seriously, not taking things so personally. Like all of those things, that's just us being more buoyant and kind of in our natural state. And I think if we take it off our mind that we have to somehow realise something or see something, and we just live and do the things that we love, there does seem to be this movement towards more of those things that we love, more of the feelings we enjoy. But I think so many people get this, an idea of an insight, or I remember someone saying, insight is just new thought. We have new thought all the time about all kinds of things. Sometimes we have profound insight and it's, it blows our mind, or sometimes it can be an insight of how to fix something or what we want to do for, actually, I feel so inspired now. That's where I need to go with my life. Like, if we can take it out of being something so it's so everyday. It's so ordinary. But I feel like we're all looking for something more than this. But actually, every ordinary moment is extraordinary, because how the hell are we all here? When did it all begin? Where did it start? Where does it finish? What is it? Like you were saying to Ishka the other day, was it Ishka and Lucia? Like, there's a bird and you see a feather, but those feathers then allow it to fly, and like,
It was the way you look at. I was looking at a pigeon and it just looked so beautiful, like
the shape of it.
the shape the way that it's made up of all these feathers. You pull a feather out of it, or it drops a feather. You look at it and go, "What genius put that bird together so it looks like?" Have anybody ever seen a gannet or any like gannets look so solid and perfect, like they've been sculpted, but they're all feathers, like laying on top of one another and forming this shape. It was just mind blowing when I was watching it.
I think everything's mind blowing when you really look at it. Like, my mum's been talking to Lucia about plants and the roots of plants, and because Lucia asked her, well, how do the plants get their food? Which my mum said, you know, what a brilliant question for a 3-year-old. So then she's like trying to explain it to her, and she's just interested and curious and open.
Did you try and give it a dog biscuit?
No. But I think anything, and I think one of the Buddha quotes is, if you could see the miracle of a single flower, that alone would change your life, or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We'll look it
Something
up
along
and put
those
it in the
lines.
group. But it was like, what is a flower? How did it get here? How is it created? How does it use the sun? Like, why? Like, all of those things, you realise, well, every single moment is miraculous. It's wonderful. And I think, like I was talking to the young girl earlier about a book I read, which I said I probably could have lived without reading because some of it was so harrowing, about the Holocaust, and a lady called Edith Edgar. So it was an incredible book, but there's parts of it I just couldn't get out of my head for a long time. But even in the midst of such horror, some of the experiences of beauty or of connection or of love that she had, like, and she had eyes for it when she was there. And it was actually only really afterwards that she experienced a lot of the trauma of it. But in the moment of things happening, she was creative and a genius. Some of the things that came to her that kept her alive. And I think it is those kind of things that point to, if we have eyes for beauty, we can see it anywhere, in the midst of anything. And I know for myself that I had insecure, I'm not good enough eyes, and I've been in some of the most beautiful places and totally missed it because I've just been like in my head in my own insecurities. So it's within us. Everything we're looking for is within us in every moment, and every moment is a new start. Every moment is a new potential. What's gone before is gone. It doesn't dictate who we are. And I do feel like we fall into patterns of thought, but then I think, how many patterns of thought that I've had in my life that have just disappeared, and I'm in a different type of pattern. They've come and they've gone. Other ones seem to hang around longer. I have no idea why. But if we can see all of these things as temporary, they come and they go, they come and they go. Like Angie's story, it's like, well, you can see you absolutely love your daughter and you love your grandson and you really would love to have helped. You couldn't. So you can see that actually that's showing you something beautiful about your character. That feeling came. The feeling in itself isn't necessary, but it's showing you that you love to help and you love your family. So it's actually even that feeling, which we say is a negative thing, it's like, oh, actually it's just saying how much you love to help, how much you'd love to be in service and you wish you could. But we always sort of, we take a feeling and we create this idea of positive and negative and all those things. But like when Dave said that, and that it was you that said about guilt, it's like, wow, aren't we mad as human beings that we can take anything and make it a negative? If you see what I mean, we put a word to it, we put form to it, rather than it being experience that's temporary. We're like, oh, it's this kind of feeling. Oh, that's not a good feeling, and I maybe should know better, or whatever we do. And I think if we didn't have all of the definitions for things, it's like all the labels that we now have. So much of that stuff has gone on for generation after generation, but we didn't have the name of this and that. Like teenagers didn't exist before the 50s. It was a coined term. Like there were still people that went from 13 to 19, but they weren't called teenagers.
They were just children till the age of 18, weren't they, or something?
Something like that. Yeah, or 16 maybe. I can't remember. But
No, I wasn't there.
But all of it is. No, it's just an article I read.
Oh.
That's what I said. I can't remember. It's all of those things are concepts. Every feeling is we've got a name or a flavour for it. But without all of the story and the name and the flavour of things, there's just experience. We're just experiencing. And we'll experience till the day that we die, and then I've got no idea what next.
Experience.
But from my own life and my own experience, like I can see I haven't stopped experiencing. And coming across the principles has done something for me in a way that I cannot explain or talk about. But I still have all kinds of mad experiences and all kinds of feelings. But I always remember saying so early on in this journey, it was like the principles put all feelings back on the table for me as being allowed. Whereas before, I was so scared of certain feelings. I was like in this narrow, like always trying to keep within this bandwidth of feeling because I was so terrified of certain feelings and I judged other feelings. And it felt like the principles went, oh, all of these are actually acceptable. They're all fine. You can feel all of them and they won't do anything to you.
Yeah, I think because we haven't understood life, we assume our lives are going to kind of, unless we keep ourselves static, tight in this little prison, that our lives are just going to run away with us and become like this tangled mess. And it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. No, the more you let go of the control, because it's the prison that keeps those horrible feelings out is the thing that keeps you confined. You don't even get to keep the horrible feelings out because the prison's created from fear. You know, if you're in love, you would never do that. Love doesn't judge. But the more people learn to allow themselves to feel, because the only thing you're actually fearing is your own experience. The only thing you're ever experiencing is the only thing you're ever fearing is your own thought. Because that is the origin of feeling. You're afraid of your own mind, afraid of your own paintings as an artist. And when you realize that's what it is, then it's true. You just, well, I can feel anything. I'm allowed to feel anything. And the more you allow yourself to feel, the less shitty feelings you feel. The more freedom you start to live with. Like I've said it a few times, but the man who came to work with us and said, I want the freedom you have, Dave. Oh, what's that? He went, what does that look like to you? And he said, well, you're always happy and you love everybody. I said, false and false. I said, that's not true. I said, but I do think I'm free. I have found freedom. I said, because I'm not afraid to experience anymore. I'm not afraid to experience life. To create those concepts of I should always be happy is to create a prison that you put yourself right in the middle of, thinking it's keeping you safe. It's keeping everybody else out. No, it's keeping you in. The more we open up the decide we're going to walk out of that prison, leave the prison behind, and just allow ourselves to feel. No, feelings aren't going to hurt you. The feelings. Has one of them ever destroyed you to this day? Whatever you've thought, have you ever self-combusted? Spontaneously combusted? No. Those thoughts you never acted on.
That's what I was going to say, actually. If you act on them, there's consequences in this form.
Yeah. Totally. It's something that knows how to live life greater than our intellect. That has been running the show for mankind for far too long now. The intellect. And that is life itself. The livingness of life, who and what we are, the infinite knowledge, the infinite information that lies within our being, that creates reality, that knows how to live life far better. And you're already it. All right, let's call it an evening. Okay. My name's Dave. My guest speaker arrived. Jenny. This is Jen, by the way, everybody who doesn't know Jen. This is Jenny, my wife. Jenny Ellery, Dave Ellery. This is Freedom Thinking Community Group. If you've enjoyed this, please consider making a donation. Donation things are in the link below. Thank you so much for watching. We will hopefully be here next week, next Monday.
Yes.
Yep. We'll be back
Well,
up
we'll
in
be
the
in
Lake.
Cumbria.
Yeah, back up in the Lake District. But hopefully see you on next Monday.
And please like, share, and comment,
And subscribe.
and subscribe.
Thanks, everyone. Loads of love.